Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole, and I have two guests today, people I have known for a very, very, very long time in lots of iterations. And today they are coming here because of a business that they founded some years ago that I think is going to be super interesting to you. Today on Dreamleapers, we welcome two innovators who traded in city life for a return to nature, family, and purpose. Yvonna Kopacz-Wright and Brett Wright are the founders of Lomar Farms, a Hudson Valley-based family business that began with a few beehives and has evolved into a lifestyle brand rooted in sustainability, wellness, and community. Yvonna is a 20-year Image Award-nominated actress, and Brett is a longtime entrepreneur with a background in publications, having serviced clients such as Pepsi, BET, BMW, and more. After years in Harlem and the entertainment industry, the couple made the bold decision to move to the countryside to restore a 200-year-old farmhouse and start a new chapter with their daughters Lola and Marley, the namesakes behind Lomar. This personal project to restore the land and care for bees has blossomed into a thriving brand producing beeswax candles, clean beauty products, and honey, all made with eco-friendly ingredients and a dedication to non-toxic living. Together, by creating a business built on values, Yvonna and Brett are teaching others how to reconnect with Mother Earth. From Hollywood to Harlem to Hudson Valley farmland, their story shows us how pursuing a dream can transform not only your own life, but also the lives of others. Please join me in welcoming Yvonna and Brett.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
What's happening? How are you?
I love that introduction.
Yeah,
Well, and I just love what you all are doing. It's amazing. Just
Thank you.
And so I have to back up and tell folks, I have known you all forever. I've known Brett longer than you, Yvonna. I knew Brett when he was a baby. That's what I'm going to say. I was
an intern.
You were an intern. I was at Essence Magazine. This is back in the golden era of Essence Magazine. And Brett came in as an intern. Then
What year was that?
89 maybe?
Wow.
89, yeah.
I mean, we are talking decades.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
you were in the industry. You were hustling. You're like, I got to do this thing. And you've done so many things, including when many years later, when you created Uptown Magazine, and I came to help you get that launched. I mean, we've been connected for a long time. Then I remember, Yvonna, how long have you all been together?
Since like 94.
A long time, yes.
Long time.
And then you all had that fabulous house in the Hamptons, and you would have these big parties that were good parties, not like somebody else we know. And we all would come out to your beautiful house. I mean, what a life, huh?
And our kids went to school together.
My daughter went to both of the schools. So starting with what was the name of the preschool?
Columbus
School and Gym. You told me about Columbus Preschool and Gym. That's why Carrie went there. You told me about Bank Street. That's why Carrie went there. I mean, it's been like that.
I know. It's
Long time.
So, and I mean, Brett, you've been in the entertainment publishing industry for a long time. Yvonna, you've been acting on, lots of roles that we've seen you on TV. How did you go from those things to beeswax?
That's a good question. I mean, we're still in the entertainment industry. I'm still acting. Brett is still working, marketing. But we also moved out of our townhome in Harlem to a 200-year-old farmhouse and a property. And it's about 6 acres, and we wanted to rehabilitate the land. And at the same time, we saw this amazing documentary called More Than Honey, who talks about the decline of the honeybee. And we thought, wow, we can help the honeybees and they can help us by rehabilitating our land. Why don't we try beekeeping? And it kind of started there. I kind of was thinking Brett was going to be like, no way, that's not something, we want to do. but he was totally on board. We did it. I think it was the first year, right, that we were in this house. We did it. And it just became an obsession, and we loved it. And the more we learned about it, the more we just knew it was, it was for us. So that's kind of how it started.
How did the girls take to moving from the city to the country?
Kicking and screaming.
No, Lola was kicking and screaming. She was not. She's, even to this day, she's like the city girl, but Marley loved it. So we kind of had one that didn't, one that, and I promised Lola, like, you can go back to the city. We're close enough. It's only 20 minutes from the city. So it wasn't an easy transition for her at first, but she came to love it, and the school district is great, and sports, they're both into sports, and this was a great place to grow up for sports.
Mm-hmm. I think of the life before Lomar Farms, and just Brett, because we've been in the industry for a minute between entertainment and publishing. And so like publishing is just about dead now and has been dying on the vine for a long time. As you were kind of navigating that as a business owner, as a publication owner, what was happening for you during, as publishing was declining and you're looking at the horizon to see what to do, take care of your family, build your life, all the things?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's it was reinvention to some extent. I've had probably 4 different careers, so for me it was somewhat normal to sort of just realize that, hey, this is not going to last forever. Mm-hmm. Need to reposition myself in the marketplace, figure out what the next moves are, and then transition smoothly into the next move. So, building the Lomar brand was, something that it just came natural. We happened to just get into a good space. We didn't have that intention when we moved in here. Once we started beekeeping, we realized that there were byproducts of what we were doing that we could use our skills both creatively and from a business standpoint to develop a brand and create a business. We hoped it was a legacy business for our kids, which may not work out. We even tried naming it after them, but we'll see how that turns, because look, they're going to have different transitions in their careers and may not want to work for people. So we wanted to have that option. So that's a long way to say, I mean, I really just fell into each of my transitions, just being open to what the universe was putting out there, and leveraging the connections that I've made. Look, we've been doing this, you and I, for 30 some odd years. So,
exactly.
I have long-term friends and associates and smart people around me who, from time to time we partner and work together. And I think that's sort of just who I am as a human, trying to figure out the next moves.
I mean, beekeeping. it's kind of like you may remember this show, like Green Acres. It's like
yeah. You gotta come out. I'll put you in a bee suit.
But just the idea of going from hardcore hip hop world, because when at the height of I think your involvement, Brett, in the entertainment industry, like hip hop was huge. It was everything. It was the global pulse point for culture, not just music, but everything. And it's such an urban experience, right? It also became this global urban experience. And I'm curious what lessons you learned from being in that world, which had such a huge impact, I think, on everyone. What lessons have you learned from that really big experience that inform your business today?
Wow, that's a great question. Look, I think there's a lot of life lessons, survival.
Number one
is one. Evolution, pioneering spirit, humanity. I think there's a lot of layers to having gone through such a critical cultural moment, for young Black men and women to have those sort of opportunities in front of us and really, seize those moments. My experience at Uptown Records and Loud Records was really a master's program in business. It was a civic lesson in just surviving. Sure. Right. So, I'm a suburban kid from Montclair, New Jersey. Right. So, and I was in the belly of the beast,
yes.
with guns and crazy people.
Sure.
So, survival was real. And learning to adapt to all of the energy and culture and humans that we had to deal with was a true life lesson that I cherish, and it's useful in my day-to-day operation. You deal with the universe, so it's I think that part of the survival piece was helpful to do, and we fight nature every day. In a sense where, with the bees and the issues that they have and, the fruit trees and everything that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, Mother Nature reminds you that, you play a very small part in this universe, and you better adapt or go by way of the dinosaur. So I think that's sort of my life lesson from, my 3 or 4 careers.
And so going back to the entertainment industry for a while, because I know people find this curious. I mean, you were at those record companies. You work with some of the biggest artists of all time. Who were some of the people that you work with them? Share a little bit about that journey. We like to have the bird's eye view.
Yeah. Well, look, my mentor, rest in peace, Andre Harrell,
yes.
was a critical part of me, learning the entertainment business. But I worked with everybody from Mary J. Blige to Christopher Williams to Heavy D to Jodeci to Wu-Tang Clan to Raekwon to you name it in the late 80s, early 90s. We were the hottest thing. New Jack Swing was it. We were sort of the original merger between hardcore hip hop and R&B, created a genre of music and a cultural lifestyle that became pop culture and acceptable to the masses. So it was, I was 20 something years old. We were running at the time, a $50-60 million company. Right. And it was a master's program. We talk about, going to Harvard Business School and all that. There's nothing like being in the trenches and looking at spreadsheets and creating artistry and developing artists. And so that experience was great because of the people and the timing and the opportunity that we had because of the music that was moving the culture. Right. And that led into fashion and publishing and all sorts of things that were, sort of iterations of my growth.
Yeah. Well, you speak of Andre Harrell, and I think many people share the sentiment. I mean, he gave so many people opportunities. He was such a generous visionary, I'll say. The reason that I started working in artist development, media training artists is because of him. I was writing an etiquette book called How to Be, and I was at a cocktail reception in the building where I now live, and Andre came and sat next to me, and he said, "What are you doing?" At that time, I was the fashion editor of Essence. He knew what I was doing. That was a big job. I didn't want to talk about that. I was already in the mode of, it's time to do something else. And so I told him about my book, and he said, "Well, do you think you can teach that to my artists?" And I said, "Teach what?" He says, "Teach them how to be like old Motown." And I said, "Sure." And literally, one of my first clients when I started my business was Mary J. Blige because of him.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
you know, that opened the door for hundreds of artists and other people over the years. But it really was because of him. He saw that, okay, I think you could help these people. And, you know, having a generous visionary in your life is like the best, right?
Priceless. Yeah, I mean, look, he was a connector. You know, he had the rare skill of being successful and also the ability to listen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He was a great listener.
Yeah. So his ears were his biggest sort of, I think, piece of the puzzle. People don't understand that. You know, being able to listen to artists, being able to hear music, being able to listen to you know, you gotta when you're the man, you gotta listen to a lot of crap, and you gotta have patience. And you know, he had that in spades. So that was his magic, was being able to listen, take what he heard, put it into a plan of action, and then take the connections and the people and put all of them in the right place. So you know, he is missed.
He is missed. Hey guys, this is Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. We're talking to Brett and Yvonna Wright. They are the founders of Lomar Farms, but they've done so many things. We are talking about their whole life, including the farm that they have built that has, look, I have a monthly subscription to the candles, as you know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Yes.
No, absolutely.
You were one of the first ones to sign up.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
Awesome.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the industry because I know people want to know. So you also worked with Puffy. Everybody, I mean, we all did. I worked with many of his artists. You know, I'm going to say, I don't think it's my naivety. I think people show you what they want you to see. I never saw any of the crazy that they're talking about now. But, you know, I saw his brilliance. I saw this really creative person rise, you know, meteorically. And then now this awful crash. What was your experience of him?
Yeah, so we had, you know, we were peers. So we had a love-hate relation. It was I think a healthy competition in a lot of ways. But we also worked together on projects. So, you know, he was, look, one of the hardest working people I ever met in my life.
Yep.
Right. His drive and his ambition were bigger than anyone, even till this day, that I ever met. Right. And he wanted it more than anyone you could even imagine. Right. And he was willing to work for it and willing to, you know, sort of do whatever it took to get to the mountaintop. Right. And, you know, I think that's part of his success, obviously. And I think that's part of what he's going through now. You know, we're both Scorpios. So we, you know, our birthdays are like 8-9 days apart. You know, there's a level of passion that we have as Scorpios, as Black men trying to make it. You know, I think it's unfortunate. You know, and look, I think maybe Andre ties back to this in some ways. That his mentor, the one person who could really put him in his place, anchor him, give him real feedback that he respected, was gone. And you know, I can't believe some of the stories, and the, you know, the videos. It's hard to imagine that that some of that is real.
Right.
And I'm not discounting anyone who's had, you know, a legal issue or what. I believe everyone. Right. I just can't believe that he's been sort of confronted with some of the deep, dark things that I've heard.
Sure.
You know, still love him. Hope he has, you know, a great turnaround with his life. So much has been given to him. I think he has a lot to be able to give to the universe, and hope that he's learned some lessons and is able to, you know, make good in the second half of what he has to do. But yeah, again, super talented, super driven. And yeah, so
I mean, it's tragic, and hip hop created a level of wealth and respect for Black men in particular that I think is unprecedented. And one of the things that is particularly tragic, I think, is, this is a big scar. This is a big scar on Black men. I mean, it shouldn't have to be. It should be that, well, this is one person, but I think that it does. It has created that in a sense, and But I like your position. And look, as long as we are alive, there's an opportunity to turn the page and do something different in our lives, and that's true for everyone, but especially someone who's risen so high. So I agree. I pray that some good will come out of this for him and everyone who's been touched by this side of his life. All right, let me turn the page. Yvonna, you are an actress, and I love when I turn on whatever I turn on, and there you are. When did you know that you wanted to be an actress? Was that a dream as a child?
Not really. I mean, I did go to a performing arts high school, but I moved to New York when I was 18 and started modeling.
Right.
And it was soon after modeling, I was like, this is not for me, that I wanted to become an actress. And so I started acting. I've been on, I moved to LA, got on Days of Our Lives, soap opera, then, did other TV shows there. And then when I moved back to New York, I, started on another soap opera, Guiding Light, and then had both of the girls through being on that show. And now just for the last 10 years, I've been on Law and Order, recurring on Law and Order SVU. So,
and that is such an incredible franchise, Law and Order SVU.
Oh.
How many years is it?
I think it's 25. It's 20. We're on season 26. I think.
That's amazing. And you've been on it for 10 years.
For 10 years. Yep.
So tell us some behind the scenes there. I mean, so many people watch SVU.
Well, what do you want to know?
All right, tell us about Mariska Hargitay. Everybody wants to know about her.
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely amazing. She has a very big presence because for some reason she seems really tall. I think maybe she's not that much taller than me, but she just has such a big presence. And, she takes over the set because she has been on it for so long. And she also directs. I've been on certain episodes where she's directing, acting. I mean, she has so many different hats. I don't know how she does it. I mean, it's literally like, you have to, when you're directing, a TV show, you need to know all parts. You know what I mean? Like where we are now, what was said, what was said for everyone in the scene. And she'll just put on all the hats. So she's pretty incredible. And even just the stuff she's doing with victims, like real victims of sexual violence, she is, helping in so many ways. So she's an incredible human.
Okay. So now Ice-T, who was huge in hip hop. And then he's one of the earliest rappers to transition into acting and for it to stick. I mean, he's been on from the first season, right?
He has, yes.
What does he like to work with?
He is so chill. I mean, I worked with him years ago in a video that I did. I can't even remember. I think it was the Alcoholics video. He had like a cameo in it. And so I was in that video with him. So I first met him years ago in the 90s. And then when I came on the set, I was like, do you remember I did that? He was like, oh yeah, I remember. Wow. I mean, that man is so chill. He is just like, I'm here doing my thing, doing my job, taking my paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just really great to be around. His ego, which is kind of funny, for being an actor, that he doesn't really have like a very big ego right now. I don't know if maybe that's transition from what he used to be, but like, he's very chill.
That's great. All right. Now we're going to bees, which, again, this idea of beekeeping and like you said, Brett, it's like this communion with nature. You realize that you are much smaller than nature. Do do both of you actually tend to the bees?
Sort of, kind of. She does most of the actual. I started with them doing it.
And he does some of the heavy lifting, because when you're carrying a box filled with honey and bees, it's like, 45, 50-pound box.
Ooh.
So if there's a day where I'm like, there's some heavy lifting, please put your bee suit on and come help. But
I go and get the swarms with you.
Oh yeah. Like we one of the fun things that we do is the community calls us whenever there's a bee swarm hanging around somewhere. And we go out and try to rescue them and bring them back to the farm. So that is definitely, something that.
Okay, please explain. Like, that's like another language to me. What does that mean? It's like when horses get loose. What do you mean?
Well, it's so bees in general, the way they grow, the way they multiply is they build up their hive, which is one queen per hive.
Right.
And then at a certain point, they will take the old queen will fly away with half of the hive and start a new colony. And they leave half of the half of the hive, and then they'll build another queen. And so they'll be where there was one, there was two. So this swarm, in between finding a new place, they'll land like on a tree, or they'll land in a bush, and they will hang out there for a day or two before finding another place. And that's usually when people call us, like, there's a swarm in this tree above my house. And if it's easy enough, like, we'll go out and pick it up and bring it back to our place.
Now, how do you pick it up without them stinging you?
Very carefully. No, we bring, a hive box. So the same boxes that you see. The key is to get the queen into the box, and then the rest of the bees will follow, which is much easier said than done.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes we have to leave the box overnight. We can't locate the queen. So, and then we tape up.
How can you tell which one is the queen?
She's bigger.
She has a longer abdomen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times people are so afraid of bee swarms because you think, but that's when they're the most docile. Like, they've filled their bellies with honey. So it's really hard for them to actually straighten out their abdomen to sting you. So if you're like they pass you by a bee swarm, they are not even thinking about you, stinging you, nothing. Like, that's the time when you can go in. But we still have full on suits. Like, we don't take any chances.
So, people generally are afraid of bees. They think that you see a bee is going to sting you. When do bees normally sting?
I mean, so I think the first piece is that there's a difference. There's different types of bees. So there are honeybees, which we deal with. Then there's bumblebees, and then there's wasps and yellow jackets.
Right.
So most of our terrible experiences happen with wasps and yellow jackets.
Yeah.
And they look like bees, you know what I mean? Because they look like honeybees. So people are like, it's a bee. I'm like, it's not a bee. It's a wasp.
Right.
Yeah. But honeybees, when you see them, they do not want to sting you. They know they'll die when they sting you. So they got one sting. So they're not going to. All they want to do is go to a flower, collect some pollen, collect some nectar, bring it back to the hive, turn that nectar into honey, feed the babies. That's it. Like, they don't care about you. You know what I mean? You could go up to them while they're by a flower and, look at the flower. Now, if you are flailing around and accidentally hit it, that is going to
you're a threat.
Yeah, that's going to cause them to, or if you step on it, that's going to cause them to sting you. But you can literally just sit and watch a honeybee and they will not sting you.
And so it is true that bees get one sting and then they die.
Honeybees.
Wasps can sting you continuously.
Yeah.
So I got stung by a yellow jacket this summer, and I'm allergic. And I was like, okay, thanks. Immediately.
Not
but
fun.
I knew it was a yellow jacket. I mean, actually, I do know what the difference is. I can tell the difference of how they look. They're much more aggressive.
Yes,
much more aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and they come to the barbecue a lot more.
Yes. This was at a restaurant. Yeah. So what is the process of being a beekeeper, and how long does it take to have enough honey for it to be something that you could turn into a business?
Well, at first we had processed a lot of honey, and we have a lot of, we had a lot of extra honey to sell. Now our business has grown so much that we actually get our raw sources from a place up in the Hudson that has all of the beeswax and the honey that we get from them. We don't sell.
We don't have enough.
We don't have enough. We have
amazing.
our honey. It's like our in-house honey for some of our friends, but we don't make enough to sell to the business.
Well, that's amazing. Hey guys, look, this time is going by fast. Let me remind you, this is Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. We're talking to Brett and Yvonna Wright, the founders of Lomar Farms. So when did you get to the point of doing it yourself and then outgrowing your capacity to harvest your own honey?
Yeah, we blew up in COVID, right? Like I think it was People Magazine who called us and wanted to do a story on us, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And they said, are you ready, like, for what that means? And I was like, are we ready, Brett? He was like, yeah, pull the trigger. I did not know what that meant, really, to be honest. Now looking back, at that point I was making candles in the kitchen. We had our house as the thing, right? I mean, it was like order after order after order after order. They were supporting Black business, and it was I love to say it was a great time, but every time the order ding would come up, like, I would have anxiety. The kids would be like, turn that off. I'm like, it was insane. It was insane. And that lasted for a good amount of time. So we, that's when we rented a warehouse next door. We took the business from the house into an actual place where we can, have space to pack and ship and make the stuff.
And so when did you found the business, and what's the time from the founding to that People Magazine article?
3 years.
Oh,
3 years.
Well, at least you had time to have a rhythm even though the rhythm changed.
Oh, the rhythm changed.
So
now I want that rhythm back. Like, we need more, like the amount of Black business support that was happening during that time after
George Floyd,
like that momentum, we need it back. Like, the Black businesses right now are feeling the lack of that support. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, the power of that support was huge. It started businesses, it supported businesses. And we need that back. We need to, support Black businesses again.
Well, to that point, I've been in business for a very long time. And during that period, the downside, obviously, other than health, of COVID, everything shut down. So I went from having clients and flying all over the country to 0 clients. And then suddenly Zoom happened. And you don't have to get on a plane. You can talk to people like this. And it was booming. My business was booming, and it has changed, especially given this anti-DEI that we are facing now.
Yep.
I mean, no less busy, but the returns are different.
Yeah, twice the work for half the money.
Exactly.
And I love what you say, honey, about just if we can use our buying power.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got to get back to a movement where we sustain ourselves. Our communities work to keep the dollars in our neighborhood more than ever before, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're under attack. I don't know that everybody realizes it yet, but there is some serious issues underfoot that we're all gonna have to deal with in the next year or so. The temperature is super hot. I think we've got to figure out some collective ways to support one another. because it ain't coming from anywhere else. And we don't know how long it's going to last. And, we are under attack. I mean, in my opinion, they are trying to erase history and trying to annihilate a generation or two of us.
Yep.
And we better get hip or we're going to have some serious problems.
And, a big problem that the Black community has had forever is coming together, spending our money with each other, making those choices to support each other. I mean, there are lots of reasons we know, but to your point, there's so much money in the Black community. If we actually spent a little bit more of it with each other, imagine what that power base would look like.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. People need to wake up.
100%.
They need to wake up. And
Spike said it best.
and I say Black people, but also like-minded people who support each other, because it's bigger than the Black community. People who support each other to actually support each other. What does it look like if you are conscious about your choices? And I think a lot of people now are really struggling. I'm sure you've seen more than 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs since January.
Yeah.
That is so scary.
Yeah.
And we Black women are considered some of the most educated, higher paid than some. And now it's just like, they're
the biggest threat. They're the biggest threat. I mean, they've neutralized Black men, so Black women are next. I mean, it's, there's a reason why you're hearing what you hear in the news and trying to discredit it and make it all DEI. It's like, no, we're just smarter and we work harder and we're better. So, get with it.
I mean, back to the puffy part of what is so disheartening to me is also just the stories that have come out discredit him, and they're horrible. If all those things are true, they are horrible, but they have nothing to do with what the charges were. It's like, let's destroy a person, because then it annihilates so many others. Oh, they're all like that. They're all so bad, but there's so much good. And, telling the good stories, like, Brett, I met you when we were at Essence. The one thing that I thought Susan Taylor did so brilliantly was to tell the good news stories. 100%. Essence was a good news magazine. There's enough
celebration.
It's a celebration. There's enough bad stories out there. What about all the good stories? And I think a part of the problem now, I mean, the magazines don't exist like they used to. The good news is not being disseminated in the way that it used to be disseminated. And so people walk away having those old beliefs about who we are, what we stand for, what our values are. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, there's one TV show I watch religiously. It's CBS Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
And for that reason, right? It's only positive. It's a magazine style TV show, but it shows the best of what we've got out here. It's no hard news, none of the big issues. And if I can get that for an hour and a half, one day a week, then we can keep hope alive. So
I mean,
but it's hard to find.
I had turned off the news and stopped even reading the news on my phone for a few months, because I absolutely cannot take it. It's just it's too much. And I literally turned the TV on the other day, and 47 was addressing the UN.
Oh God.
And it was so incredibly embarrassing to see this person come into their house and insult them. How we have gotten to the place of just, you can insult anybody, you can say anything you want. and there be no consequences. I mean, what is that lesson for our children?
Yeah, scary.
And what do we tell we have young adult children who are the next generation going out into the world. What do you think your daughters are seeing and believing that their path to be, given all that's happening now?
I mean, I think, so much is changing, even just as far as AI, and, everything is up in the air. You know what I mean? Our daughters are walking into a world that is completely different than, in some ways than what we walked into. And in some ways, going backwards from what we know. So all we're concentrating on is that they have what it takes, what we've instilled in them, their values, how to treat people, and and also how to adapt. You know what I mean? So they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure out, but it's going to be interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I teach a journalism class at FIT, and they're asking me, this is like 101. They're asking me, well, how do you know what is the truth? Journalism is supposed to be, you're digging for the truth and looking to share the truth about whatever a topic may be. And in our culture now, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell what is true when obvious lies are being perpetuated as truth. And whether it's journalism or not, I really think about our next generation having to decipher that, like how, and because of algorithms and everything else, you can think you're doing research to find the truth and not find it. You're finding what the algorithm thinks you want to know, as opposed to what might be actual. I think it's really, it's harder now to discern what is real, what is not real, what is truth, what does integrity look like?
Yeah, I mean, look, the alternative facts generation is where it all began, as far as I'm concerned. Where people of authority can blatantly lie, and it be positioned as an alternative fact. A fact is a fact. Right. And the fact that nobody pushed back, nobody really dug into, no, an alternative fact is a lie. So a bit of the moral compass was lost. And I don't know how we get that cat back in the bag. I think, as a journalist, you just have to dig deeper and go multiple layers to really make sure that what you're seeing is actual fact. Because the last 10 years in general have been alternative fact to support a position. So that's a big challenge.
It's a huge challenge. One of the movements that I'm seeing is there's a global movement afoot, especially among African American women. I've talked to many women who are looking at the world as, where do I want to be? It used to be everybody wanted to be here because, there's so much opportunity in America. And I am seeing more and more people traveling around the world trying to figure out, if I left here, where would I go? Where would I feel safe? Where would I feel comfortable? And I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are having this question. I've talked to so many people.
We've got friends. Picked up and left. Gone. Out of here.
And my kids are like, Mommy, get your British passport back, get your Polish passport back. Like they're, just to have options.
Gotta have options.
Yeah, Malcolm X said it. Every Black man should have a passport. You never know when you have to get out. But,
no doubt.
The reality is many Americans haven't even traveled outside of their town that they grew up in.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's some value to looking at the world. And, you know, we, by the way, people of color are the majority when you look at the world, even though here we are called a minority, but as a global culture,
the global majority.
Global majority, and that's a really powerful thing. Hey guys, this is Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. We're talking with Brett and Yvonna Wright, talking about all kinds of stuff, getting deep here as we think about bees and also, you know, saving humanity. I like the idea, going back to nature. You know what, being in tune with nature is something that a lot of city dwellers are not at all. You know, I think people think of bees as pests and they kill them. Just the notion of being on a property that is as big as yours and relying on nature to sustain your family with this business that you've created. What is your relationship to nature now, and how has it changed?
Well, nature isn't necessarily just for sustaining. The way that we are in relationship with nature is everything. You know, like for instance, you know, when we're out there pulling weeds, or when we're out there moving rocks, like everything in relation to you can teach you something. So, you know, when I'm pulling weeds, like in my head, I know this might sound crazy, but I'm like, what in my life needs to be removed? You know, like as far as I'm pulling the weeds, then I'll see, you know, a weed standing up and, you know, holding maybe you know, a sprout that actually needs the weed for a moment to get strong. You know what I mean? And then after the whatever sprout, you know, the vegetable sprout gets a little stronger and doesn't need the weed anymore, then you pull the weed. So you kind of, for me, I translate that to real life. Like, yeah, pull out everything you don't need, but wait, not yet. You're not ready yet, you know, to stand up on your own 2 feet. So there's and those stories go on forever and ever. You know what I mean? Like, this is how Indigenous people relate to the land. Everything has a soul. Everything has an essence, and everything can teach you something, from animal totems to rocks to trees. Everything is there. We have a symbiotic relationship with nature, and we only really got in touch with that when we came out here. You know what I mean? And the importance of that's everything. That's not just like, oh, you know, to sustain us and to grow things. There is information that we all need to know, to hear from nature. And the bees, right? The bees have taught us so much about community. Everybody has a job. Every bee has a job. Every job is important. You know what I mean? It's a colony that, you know, that's part of the reason why our community is so important. We know how important it is to connect with your own community. That's why we have, you know, we have this open farm day to benefit the Palisades Library. We have 120 person dinner that we have a farm to table dinner that also benefits the library. So we are very much into community, helping each other, and just being, you know, you can be autonomous, but also be, you know, with community.
We have 2 minutes left. I have 2 things I want you to tell me.
Okay.
How many people work for your business right now?
1, 2. No, I'm kidding.
No, we have lots of part-time folks who chip in here and there, but as far as running the business, Yvonna runs the business. I'm the head of custodial services. So
it's still a very small business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like Anita's in there right now working for me. Like, you know, we have, and then we also have part-time employees that come and that help us out.
It's a family business at the end of the day.
And what are the products that you offer now?
So we've got lots of stuff. We got beeswax scented candles, which is the biggest part of our business. Obviously, honey. We've branched off into bath and body. We have soaps, we have lotions and potions, we have a body juice, we have, you know, on the food side, we launched spices about almost 2 years ago now.
That's because Brett is the most amazing chef. So he curated some spices that are like a one-stop shop. So they are phenomenal. Yeah.
And we just launched coffee about a year ago.
Coffee.
So we have dark roast and medium roast. I'm a coffee snob, and I got tired of getting crappy coffee, so we started sourcing beans and partnered with a roaster to do it.
Wonderful. And where can people buy your products?
On our website, www.lomarfarms.com is probably the best place to get our stuff.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is delightful. I'm so glad to get to talk to you. And my favorite is the fig candle. That's what I have on auto ship.
Membership. We love it.
Membership. Indeed. Thank you so much. And congratulations on all your success.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you. Let's catch up soon.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It was so great to talk to Yvonna and Brett Wright of Lomar Farms. Check them out. You're going to enjoy it. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.